How does commercial awareness come up in interviews? And there are loads of ways it can come up, and including both of those different strands. So I got asked at the very start of one of my interviews to define commercial awareness. That was just a standalone question. Sometimes you might be asked why commercial awareness is important. Or, for instance, when have you demonstrated commercial awareness? Now, that question can seem like a really tricky question because you might think, well, I've never set up a business, I've never run a business, so I've never demonstrated commercial awareness. But actually, you can draw analogies between running a business and something else that you might have been involved in. So because I spent the first 5 years of my working life sort of running and managing a band, that's exactly what I did. I said running a band is a lot like running a business. We were creating a product, that was our music. We were branding the product, that was our logo, our flyers, what we wore on stage, our backdrop, all that kind of stuff. We were marketing the product by trying to get press and touring and handing out flyers and using social media and MySpace and all that kind of stuff. We needed to keep track of budgets, and all those processes are very much reflective of the processes that businesses use to operate. And I learned so much from my time in music when it then came to setting up my own businesses. An example for you might be that you've been part of a university exec tasked with running a ball. If you run a ball, the ball is the product, the branding of the suppliers you invite to get involved, the theme, the kind of logo on the flyers, all that kind of stuff. You might market it through lecture shout-outs, mailing lists, social media, whatever else. You might need to recruit junior members to help coordinate on day. Recruitment is clearly a business process as well. And if you draw those kind of analogies, then you could confidently talk about that in an interview as a way that you have demonstrated commercial awareness. You might also get asked questions about news stories. Now, in an interview, I was always given the opportunity to lead that part of the interview. Rather than a firm saying, what's your opinion about X event? Or did you hear that this politician said this? What are your thoughts? They generally said to me, what have you read about in the news recently that's interested you? And we'll cover in a bit more detail a bit later on how to tackle a question like that. Now, if some major event has happened, if Brexit has just happened, or we are in the middle of a pandemic or something like that, then it's fair game for a firm to talk about that. Or maybe if legal tech is all over the news constantly, then maybe it's fair game for a firm to bring that up. So do some research into the really key stories. But generally, if you're going to talk about a story in detail, you are generally allowed to lead that part of the interview. And you might also be asked about your opinion on kind of the firm's challenges and future strategies and that kind of thing, just to show the depth of your research. So do come armed with a couple of opinions around that if you can. Now, a lot of that relates to the kind of second strand, high-level external factors side of commercial awareness. On that micro-internal side, that's where you might come face-to-face with fictional client case studies and scenarios. You might have to do that kind of scenario in a group-based situation. You might need to identify risks and opportunities, or explain which potential course of action will be the best commercially for a business based on its objectives. You might need to explain where the firm can help and make certain recommendations. And that's what we'll be focusing on a little bit later today as well. It might also be worth preparing some sort of commercially oriented questions in advance, because that can really help to demonstrate your commercial curiosity, which links into commercial interest and commercial awareness.